Welcome back to my channel, The Gentle Flamingo, and welcome to part 5 of my nerdy Gurdy build. This is going to be a fairly short video. I'm going to be working on the keys, Keybox Lid, and putting the sides on my Gurdy. And I wanted to show you some of the painted and finished parts, but we've got some inclement weather coming in and we might lose power for a little while, so I wanted to go ahead and get this video finished up and posted for you guys. So, enjoy! If you remember from part 1, I went ahead and sorted and bagged my keys into the upper row and lower row. So let's get them out and get to work. The upper row has 10 keys and their corresponding caps, and then the lower row has 14 keys and no caps. When working on these keys, I would often pick up keys 6 and 9 and not be able to tell the difference. So while holding the keys so that the head of the key is on the right, I went ahead and underlined the numbers with pencil so I could tell at a glance which was which. I did the same for both key rows. To tell the difference between an upper key and a lower key, there are a couple of things. First, the holes for the tangents are closer to the key head on the upper keys. And second, and a little bit easier to see, is the height of the key heads. The low keys have a taller head than the upper ones. To help make things a little quicker when sorting, I numbered my caps and wrote the number on the side that I was going to glue so I wouldn't have to try to sand it off later. Before I glue anything, I'm going to give all the keys a little sanding to take off any raised grain. You can also sand off the scorch marks from the laser cutting. It doesn't really matter on this Gurdy because I'm painting everything, but it is possible and fairly easy to do. And then I'll wipe off any residual dust and debris and move on to the next key. I did sand all 24 keys and the 10 caps, but I won't make you watch all of that. To glue the caps onto the upper keys, I'll just put a little bit of glue on the numbered side of my cap. Spread it around. And then place it on the key. I don't show it very well, but make sure to glue the caps to the top side of the key, which is the side with the printed number. I go ahead and give mine a little squeeze before I put the clamp on. I find that it helps to take out some of the slidiness of the glue, but it's just a personal preference of mine. Once it's clamped, I'll set it aside to dry and then rinse and repeat for all 10 upper keys. And here they all are, capped and dry. The next thing I'm going to do is a bit of shaping on my Keybox Lid. As it is now, the top edges are kind of sharp and will be uncomfortable to lay my arm across while playing this Gurdy, so I'm going to round off those edges a bit. Now I'll be painting a little design on my lid eventually, so I'm going to mark out where that design will be and how close I want the slope of my rounded edges to get to it. Then I'll clamp my lid down and go to work. I'm using a wood rasp for this because it makes for relatively fast work, but do be careful with it around the corners. It will chip off a little of the outer layer of the plywood. And here's some video of the obligatory cat interference. Sweet Charlie Cat, he just wants to help. So here we are after shaping. It just needs a little bit of sanding to smooth out the rasp marks, and then there we go. I did end up with a little chipping on these corners, and I could put some wood filler on and then shape that, but it's not a big enough chip to affect the stability of the lid, and since this Gurdy is going to stay with me and I'm ready to get it done, I'll just leave it. And now to put on the sides. When I built the Gurdy in the rough, I used these strips of plywood for the sides. I don't own a laser cutter, although one day I hope to, so I just cut these approximately the width of the larger divisions on the laser cut sides and then glued them along the side of the Gurdy. The laser cut sides, though, have this wonderful living hinge design that I absolutely love, and it allows them to bend easily around the Gurdy. Just a bit of prep before I glue the sides on. To keep the glue off my wheel, I'll put some paper towels around it and then tape them into place. This covering will stay on for a while to keep from scuffing the sides too much and to keep paint and glue off. Someone had a good comment on part 4 about wheel installation. If you put it together so that the washer is on the side of the wheel that's towards the handle and the flat circular part of the hub is towards the tuning head, you'll be able to take the wheel and the hub on and off as a unit. I didn't do that because I'm using the vinyl electric tape on the end of my crankshaft to get a better fit with the bearing. And I wouldn't be able to take that on and off with the sides of the Gurdy on the Gurdy, so I set my wheel up to be a permanent installation. Of course, now that I've said that, I'm ruminating on ways to alter the sides to provide access to the crankshaft after finishing. And maybe I'll have to get another kit and try it. Okay, back to this build. I've laid the sides out so that they're mirror images of each other and so that I sand the correct side. Plus, I've previously painted a little place that will be showing on the inside once they're glued in, so that helps too. I'm using a fine grit sandpaper to just smooth things out a little, and then I'll wipe away any of the leftover dust, and they're ready for fitting. To clamp the sides in while the glue is drying, I'll be using these neat little clamps. My dad got them for gluing the sides and tops on guitars, and they're just right for this Gurdy build. If you don't want a spring for a bunch of these, you can actually make your own pretty easily. Here's one of several that my dad made from a bolt and pieces of dowel with a wing nut and a washer to adjust it. These are made for gluing up violins though, so they're too short for me to use on this Gurdy. I had to make a little repair because that end plate thing came loose, so while that glue dries, I'll go ahead and prep all my clamps. I'm just going to tighten them down until they're close so that I don't have much adjusting to do once I start gluing. One more thing before I get to start gluing though. I just have to make sure that the side fits over all the projections on the side of the tuning head. I ended up having to do just a little bit of filing on various parts to get it to go on smoothly. Once I'm satisfied with the fit, I'll apply the glue. I'm going to use the bottle to apply the glue along the rim and then a brush to put it on the side of the tuning head. And then it's time for the clamps. I'll use these squeeze clamps for the tuning head area and then the others for everything else, making sure all edges of the sides make contact. You'll notice I only applied glue up to the point where that first outward curve starts to level out. I did this so I don't have to pull the side back very far to put more glue on. These sides bend, but they will break if you bend them too far, which you might have to do if you stop gluing in one of the inner curves. I have enough clamps to do one entire side, but I didn't want to deal with glue possibly dripping everywhere, so I glued my sides on in sections. When you get to the end of the side, apply a little glue to the edge of the end plate and make sure you clamp the side so that it makes contact with that edge. Once it's all clamped, I'll let it dry overnight. Okay, here's what it looks like so far. and then an inside view because I think it looks pretty neat and won't be seen again once I get the other side on. Speaking of the other side, I use the exact same process to put it on and again let it dry overnight. Be sure to follow the directions on your glue bottle and give your glue plenty of time to dry. Better to make sure it's dry than risk having it come loose at an inopportune moment. And here it is, all dry with both sides on. Alright, that's it for this video. Again, I'm sorry I'm not showing you some finished keys, Keybox Lid, and Gurdy body, but I really wanted to get this video up and scheduled for release before this weather potentially knocks my electricity out. Thank you for joining me, and I hope to see you again for the next video. Bye.